Hello, I'm Richard Howard from Denver, North Carolina, and I'd like to show you, with my boys, how to play the game of slow pitch softball. Now we're world champions, so we think that we can show anybody how to play this slow pitch softball game as good as anybody.
Hello, I'm Bobby Lutz, manager of Howard's Western Steer softball team. On this tape, our players will show you the basic fundamentals of slow pitch softball. If you will combine the knowledge offered to you on this tape with dedicated practice, you will become better softball players. While it is true that all players on every level of softball must constantly practice and work on developing the skills to be a good player, we strongly believe that if you will follow the advice of the nation's best players, you will indeed become better softball players. And now we go to Howard's Championship Field in Denver, North Carolina, where we begin with base hitting. There's several things that any good hitter will have to follow, be him a base hitter or a power hitter. The first thing is he's got to be comfortable at the plate. For most base hitters, that means backing away from the plate a little bit so that you can be able to spray the ball wherever you want to, given any pitch. That way, if the pitcher tries to throw it inside to you, not only can you pull it, you can also still go to the opposite field with it. Okay? Just like a power hitter, though, a base hitter has to be able to be selective. He has to know his own strengths and weaknesses, know what pitch he can hit and where he can hit it. And maybe a little bit more than the power hitter, the base hitter has to be able to do things with a pitch that he really doesn't want to do quite as much. A power hitter is going to always try to hit the ball harder out of the park, whereas a base hitter who doesn't have that luxury of being able to hit it out of the park may have to take the inside pitch and go to right field, or take the outside pitch and pull behind the defense. So a lot of base hitters take for granted that they don't have to practice, that all they have to do is come out and just hit because they're not hitting for power, that, you know, they don't have to practice as much. And that's probably the opposite's true. They have to practice even more to be able to do whatever it takes with the given pitch. Just like a power hitter, though, you do have to be selective, hit the pitch that you like, hit strikes, and hit it hard, okay? The best thing that a base hitter can do is probably hit towards the middle. It's probably the easiest stroke to get down is no matter where the pitch is, be it inside or outside, just go right with it, right back up the middle. It's the easiest. The reason it's easy is because your bat is flat, it's facing right towards the middle, and you just go with it. Okay, so that's probably the first shot you need to work on. And it takes timing. You have to watch the ball, hit it right up the middle. Follow through. You don't overswing maybe like a power hitter would, but you just meet the ball. But a base hitter that can only hit to one spot is in trouble because defenses are going to figure him out. They're going to see that he's a middle hitter and they're going to close it down. The shortstop and second baseman will lean that way, making it tough to get it through there. So a base hitter, even more than a power hitter, as I've said earlier, must be able to adjust and go different directions, hit that hole at different times with the same pitch. For example, even on an inside pitch, you have to be able to turn your hips and hit that way to right side. What you do is you turn your hips out, watch the ball even more than usual, and then follow the bat through to the right side. You're just delaying your swing a little bit and fighting it. Okay, if it is a ball, you don't have to swing at it. I did that time. Try it again. Even if it's inside, you just wait a little bit and go the other way. By the same token, a lot of times we've talked about on defense that the defense will cheat. So if it's an outside pitch, you may want to pull back. Snap your wrist a little quicker, have the defense leaning to the right side, and then snap it, get it a little bit out front, and hit it when your bat's facing towards the left side of the infield to drive it through that way. But again, just like with the power hitters, you've just got to practice. And as I've said before, a lot of base hitters take for granted that they're always going to be able to hit those holes, and it doesn't work that way. You've got less margin for error as a base hitter than a power hitter does. The power hitter takes his swing. If he doesn't hit it out, he's got a chance of getting that top spin and getting a base hit. If you miss your base hit, you're going to make an out unless they make an error. And you can't depend on the defense to do that. Now, a lot of times base hitters get in bad habits, and instead of hitting through the ball, you notice that when I swing, I hit through the ball. Instead of doing that, they seem to punch and just stop. When you just stop, you get the spin that the power hitter talks about, making it go out of the park, but you're not strong enough to hit it out. Therefore, it just stays up for the outfielder to catch it. So if you find that you're hitting a lot of flies to the outfielders, try to really snap your wrist and hit right through the ball so you can hit it down. As far as hitting into specific holes, it just takes a lot of practice. Learning what pitch you can hit the best and learning to hit pitches that you don't really like to hit to different areas. You've got to learn to do that as well. Some other differences between a power hitter and a base hitter include the stance. A lot of times the power hitter will be a little bit closer to the plate, although not right on top of the plate. The base hitter often is away from the plate, as I've said, so that you can do a variety of things with any pitch. Now, some base hitters make the mistake, if they're going to pull the ball, they get right on top of the plate, where that if they want to hit the ball to the left side, even if it's outside, they can pull it. And then if they're going to go to the right side, they back way off the plate. Well, defenses realize this in a hurry, and they're ready for you. So you need to be able to stand in about the same place every time you hit, and yet be able to go different ways. Okay? For most people, it's easy to pull the ball and hit the holes up the middle or to pull it to your natural side. The thing you really need to work on is being able to hit to the opposite field. When the power hitters talk about opening their hips, it's really only true for a base hitter when he is hitting to his side. When he's hitting to pull, when he's going the opposite side, he's got to open his hips a little differently and be able to turn it to the opposite field. We'll try to demonstrate that right now. Standing away from the plate, no matter where the pitch is, you turn and snap. You've got to turn and then hit the ball out this way, a little bit behind you. You still want to hit strikes. Notice you're almost guiding the ball out there, but you're still hitting through it. You don't stop your swing. If you stop your swing, you don't have the power on it. You still follow through even if you're going the opposite way. On that outside pitch, it's easy to go that way. All you do is just go with it. It's tougher on those inside ones, but you've got to be able to do it. The next phase of offensive softball is power hitting. We begin with Tom Bell, a 3-time All-American.
Slow pitch softball is an offensive game. A lot of people are misled about, especially some of the big home run hitters, that we try to hit it out every time. That's not the case. What we do, depending on where the pitch is pitched, if it's outside, you won't want to try to pull a ball to left field. You'll want to hit it toward center, toward right. Hit the ball where it's pitched. Like I said, we don't try to hit home runs every time. We try to get on base. And a lot of times we get that good rotation, the ball carries out the park, and that's great. But that's not what we try to do every time. In slow pitch softball, you've got to generate all the bat speed, because the ball's coming in there slow, and you've got to create all your power from about right here to when you make contact with the ball out in front of you. And that's the key, is catching the ball out front. If you hit it back in here, you're not going to do anything with it. catch it out front a little bit. Create a lot of bat speed in that short swing.
Now let's take a closer look at just how Tom generates that bat speed, which is so important. Notice how Tom strides into the ball while watching it very closely, then snaps his wrist just as his foot is planted and follows through after hitting the ball. The bat speed comes from the snap of the wrist. We continue our demonstration of power hitting with Rick Scher, the most valuable player in all of softball in 1981.
The main thing is on hitting for home runs, it's timing, which takes a lot of batting practice. Not gripping your bat too tight, so when you do swing, if your grip is too tight, it don't make your wrist break. You got to have a free hold on the bat. Now right there, the ball coming in, I try to hit the bottom part of it. Well, I just try to hit the ball hard, and I believe all your big hitters want to hit the bottom part of the ball to get your bottom spin on it, which makes it rise and carry. If you hit the top of the ball, you get top spin on it, it makes it go down. So we try hitting on the bottom.
Now we slow down Rick's swing to try to point out one of the major reasons he's a great home run hitter. Notice as he strides into the ball, watching it very closely, not only does he snap his wrist, but at the same time he is turning his whole body open to supply additional power. As we conclude our segment on power hitting, there's no better way to do it than to look at Mr. Softball himself, Don Arndt. Don Arndt has hit over 6,000 home runs in his 26-year career. He has one of the easiest, smoothest swings of anyone in the game, still at age 47. You'll notice as Don swings that he combines all of the elements that we've talked about before. The nice stride, watching the ball, and Don is especially good at snapping his wrist. You'll notice that he gets an easy swing but snaps those wrists as well as anyone in the game. It's very difficult for any power hitter, though, just to hit home run after home run unless he is very selective at the plate. Don will be the first to tell you that he must hit good pitches. Again, as we watch the swing, you see the wrist snap as he hits the ball out in front of the plate and then follows through. After you've hit the ball, the next step in being a successful softball player is being able to run the bases correctly. And base running is an often neglected part of softball. As soon as you hit the ball, you should drop the bat and immediately run as hard as you can to first base. Never, after hitting the ball, should you look where the ball was hit, or should you let up until after you've touched first base. After you've touched first, you should run a couple more steps to slow up and always turn to the right side, not in towards second base where you can be tagged out, but turn out where you're safe to come back to first base. The next step in running the bases is if you know you've had a base hit, that you've hit the ball through the infield, how should you make your turn at first and be ready to go to second? This is important because doubles or triples or even inside the park home runs are made from the batter's box to first base. You don't make your doubles between first and second. You make it by hustling out of the batter's box and getting to first in a hurry and making the correct turn. You save a bunch of steps by making a little out turn away from the baseline, touching off the inside corner of the base with either foot, although the left foot is probably preferred so that you can push more in a straight line towards second base. Okay, the next step in base running after you've arrived at first base is to be able to still be an offensive player. You don't stand on the back of the base as the ball's being ready to be hit. Instead, you get down with your left foot again touching the base, always the left foot, leaning towards first. You can have your towards second. You can have your hands on your knees, or you can just be in a ready position. If there are two outs, or if you know it's a ground ball or a base hit, as soon as the ball is hit, you'll immediately cross over and start your run to second or third, depending on which base you're at. But you should be ready. As in everything in softball, you've got to be ready. You've also got to know the situation. If there are no outs and it's a pop-up, you're not going to run as hard as you can to second and then to third, or you'll be doubled up. So you've got to know the basic rules of the game, but after you've mastered that, you've got to be ready to run and to be quick. If you can get from first to third on a single, then you've put yourself in good scoring position. You've got a better chance of scoring that run that may mean the difference in the game. Don't wait till the 5th or 6th inning to start hustling. You've got to start hustling at the first of the game. Those runs early in the game are just as important. So as you're seeing the batter ready to hit the ball, especially with two outs, but anytime you've got to be ready, but especially with two outs, as soon as the ball is hit, you're immediately turned and running. Following the technique that we showed you at first, make that little rounded curve, touch the inside of the base with your left foot, and shoot on to the next base. A lot of base runners depend on their coaches a little too much on a base hit especially. When the base hit is in front of you, you have got to decide whether to make that turn at second and go to third, or whether to hold at second. A lot of base runners are not able to do that and hesitate. Once you hesitate and lose that step, you've given that extra time to the defense. So if you're on first and the base hit's in front of you, as you turn second, you'll pick up the ball and decide whether you're going to third. Once you make that decision, don't look back at the ball. Run as hard as you can towards third and depend on your base coach to let you know whether to slide or continue running towards home. Now, it's a little bit different if you're at second base. Anytime the base hit and you're on second base, you've got to depend entirely on your third base coach, because you're going to be running as hard as you can with your back to the ball. It is not a good practice to look back at the ball as you're running. Only when the ball is in front of you do you look at it. If it's behind you, you depend on your base coaches. That's a general rule that we like to follow. We're going to instruct you in the 3 variations of the feet first slide into second, third, or home plate. The first slide will be the head-on slide, which is used in several situations, primarily used when the throw is already there ahead of you and the guy's got the ball right in front of the base, and your only choice is to go in hard and hope that maybe he'll drop the ball. Also used to break up the double play when the second baseman or the shortstop are trying to turn the double play at second base. You'll go feet first, right in towards second with your feet not chest high, but fairly well ankle to knee high, so as to try to distract the thrower or the guy that's going to tag you out. The 2 other variations of the feet first slide are the hook slides to either side of the base. A lot of people can hook slide one way, but not the other. It is important that you practice and be able to go either way. For example, if you're trying to be tagged out at second base and the throw is on the third base side, you'll want to hook slide on your right hip and catch the base with the toe of your left foot, just barely catching the corner. That way it's more difficult for the fielder to tag you out. Again, the key is getting away from the tag, making the slide away from him where he's going to have more difficulty in tagging you out. If the throw is on the opposite side, on the far side, the right field side of second base, then you'll go and slide on your left hip and drag your right toe. A general rule to remember is it's better to slide too early than too late. We now shift our attention to the defensive part of the game, an often overlooked but just as important part of softball. There are several things that you need to remember to be a good defensive player, be it an outfielder or an infielder. The first thing is always believe that every ball is going to be hit to you. That way you'll be ready, you won't be back on your heels, you'll be ready for the ball when it comes, okay? The next step for any defensive player is to be aggressive on defense, okay? To go after the ball, to want the ball and go after it, not sit back and wait on it. For an infielder specifically, I'll try to show you some of the things that you've got to be able to do. The first thing is to be in a defensive position, in the crouch, on the balls of your feet, not rocking back on your heels and standing straight up. This will get you hurt, okay? Or even the standing straight, you're not going to be ready, you're not quick enough if the ball's hit to your side. So you've got to be down ready to move either way, okay? If the ball goes, you can cross over and get it. Or if the ball goes this way, you can cross over and get it. You've got to be ready. The next step when fielding the ground ball is a simple step, but a lot of people forget it, and that's to watch the ball all the way into your glove. You've heard it for a long time, watch the ball, but it holds true, okay? As the grounder comes, you watch the ball into your glove. You're staying low, watch the ball into your glove, okay? You'll also notice that my hands are close together for the grounder. I'm ready when the ball comes. I cup it with my right hand so that I can throw it quickly. It not only allows you to throw the ball quicker, but it also serves as a protection in case the ball starts to bounce out. If your hand's there, a lot of times it'll stop it from coming out, keep it in your glove, and you'll still make the play. So you're down low on your balls, ready for the ball to go either way. You're using both hands, you're staying low, and you're watching the ball right into the glove. Then when you come up, you try to throw it quick, but at the same time, you make sure you make a good throw. You don't rush the throw. Again, just staying low. Whenever possible, you'll be charging the ball, too. As the ball comes, you'll be charging after it a little bit, trying to catch it on the good hop. Never lay back on the ball where it'll play you. If you stay back on your heels, the ball, if it's hit sharply, a lot of times will come up and go right by you. Okay. Now, if the ball's hit to your left a little bit, you should always slide over and try to make the play. I know we wouldn't make it. Okay, let's try that again. Just move to your left, you shift, you slide. Okay, your first step, if it's within your range, is to just shuffle real quickly. Always get in front of the ball. For some additional fielding tips, we turn to Russell Bradley, 4-time All-American and Golden Glove winner.
Basic thing getting ready to field a ground ball is in your basic set position. In other words, get your feet settled on the ball of your feet and just set yourself. Get comfortable. Don't get on the heels. Then you can't move either way. On the base of your feet, stay on them with your bent knees. Get where you can laterally move. No problem at all. Fielding the ball, normally right-hander, you throw right. You drop your right foot back half the length of your other foot. You set, then you got the foot set so you can push off and make the throw without any problem. All right, moving to get ground balls. Any ball that's hit within your range or distance that you can go, you don't cross your legs. Slide over, field the ball in front of you. All balls should be fielded in front of your body. Never reach unless it's a have-to situation. All right, if it's a long ball that's gone up the middle or way to your right, then you cross over and go full speed after the ball. Then you may use the backhand or whatnot. Another thing, going to backhand the ball. When you go to backhand the ball, if it's out of your reach and you have to, cross over, go get it, stretch here, plant this foot, and make your throw. All right. One thing a lot of people will do, they'll go here, they'll take, plant this foot, and throw off balance, which is no good. The runner will pick up so many steps on you, you'll never throw him out.
First base play is very important since over half the outs in an average game occur at first base.
In playing first base, positioning is very important. The same fundamentals as playing other infield positions come into play, but at first base, positioning is very important. After a ground ball is hit to an infielder, position yourself in front of the bag with the weight on the balls of your feet so you're able to move to either side. And as the throw comes, you can adjust and place whichever foot is most convenient, or either the right or the left foot, on the base to record the out. If the ball's down the first baseline, you shift the weight and tag the base with the back of your right foot. If the ball is down the right field line, you shift your weight, go with the back of the left foot, still making contact with the base. If the ball is thrown low and you see it's going to be a hop, you still have you get down and guard the ball, keep it in front of you, and at the same time making contact with the base, recording the out. If you see that a throw is going to be way off to where you're not going to be able to tag the base and catch the ball at the same time, you want to make sure you come off the base, catch the ball, and hopefully have a chance at tagging the runner as he comes by. The main thing is catch the ball. Another important thing to keep in mind is not stretch before the ball gets to you. In a case where I would be stretching and it would be a wild throw, I would be out of position to make the play and record the out. Balance is very important. Keep the weight equally distributed on the balls of both feet, and as I've mentioned, be able to shift either way. But the main thing is to catch the ball and tag the base.
Our next topic is team defense. First, we'll consider infield strategy for certain types of hitters. Okay, in a situation where you've got a pull hitter that you're going to pitch inside and allow him to pull the ball to the left side of the infield, watch how the pitcher will cover where the shortstop is left and the second baseman rolls towards second base, all in a coordinated effort. The signal by the pitcher, the pitch, everybody rolls, ready. Bingo, we got it covered. The holes are covered. What the hitter thinks is going to be open is not really open. You let him look at one hole and then you close that hole up and make him go somewhere else. This defensive positioning is just the reverse of what we've just seen. This is for basically the pull hitter from the left side, the left-handed pull hitter, power hitter, where the second baseman and shortstop will cheat the other way. Notice how the pitcher fills the hole to the second baseman's side this time. He does not roll back to the shortstop side because then they would be in direct line. Again, the pitcher lets his fielders know what's going on, jams the left-handed hitter, and rolls into position. Again, for a strictly middle hitter, that after he's got 3 base hits up the middle, you decide it's time to make him hit it somewhere else, you're going to do this motion right here. Watch the pitcher. The pitch, he just backs straight up, covers the middle. Shortstop and second baseman fill in the gaps, making him find another hole. Even though it looks like it's a gigantic hole, if that hitter hits the middle best, the percentages are with you again to make him do something different, something that he doesn't like doing, just like making him hit a bad pitch that he doesn't like. Outfield play is an increasingly important part of defensive softball. More and more hitters are becoming better able to hit the ball to the outfield. Here, Tom will demonstrate some of the basics of outfield play, some of the fundamentals that everybody must master before they're able to become good defensive players. We encourage our players to relax, and then just as the pitch is going to be thrown by the pitcher, to get ready into his defensive position where he's crouched. He can leave his hands on his knees as they're slightly bent, and then he'll relax again between pitches, getting ready where he can go either left or right as the batter hits the ball. The next phase in becoming a good defensive outfielder is to learn to make a quick crossover step if you have to run for a fly ball. Notice how Tom goes left or right by taking his opposite foot and crossing over against his body and getting a good jump. He's always watching the batter. As soon as the ball comes off the bat, he gets the good jump on the ball. The crossover step is the key to being a good defensive outfielder. A lot of fielders make the mistake of using a basketball shuffle move instead of the crossover. Notice how he loses steps as he's shuffling to try to get back on the ball. Again, notice Tom's ready position, hands on knees, looking at the batter, waiting for the ball to be hit. Here the ball was hit directly over his head, and he uses what we call the J step. The J step is actually an exaggerated crossover. Note how Tom turns quickly and goes straight back, deeply as possible, to try to get back for the ball. The J step, again, is just an exaggeration of the crossover step in getting a good jump on every fly ball hit. An outfielder must also be ready to field ground balls. Note how Tom charges the ball, blocks it, keeps it in front, and then makes a quick throw to the infield. We have 5 fundamental rules for fielding ground balls in the outfield. The first rule that we use is to always charge the ball. This keeps the ball into the infield in quicker time. The second rule is to always keep the ball in front. The third rule, in order to keep the second rule, is to block the ball with your body. The fourth rule, go to one knee if necessary to block an especially hard-hit grounder. And the fifth rule, and maybe the most important, is to throw the ball quickly. We now turn to catching pop-ups. First, we'll start with the incorrect method, where you catch the ball flat-footed. This wastes a lot of valuable time. Never catch the ball flat-footed. Instead, the proper method is to try to be leaning forward as you catch the ball so that your body helps you make a stronger throw to the infield. Next, we cover another important part of team defensive play, the cutoff throws to the infield from the outfield. First, the cutoff throw to second base. The left fielder charges the ball, the second baseman lines up the shortstop, then the left fielder again makes the throw right over top of the shortstop where he can cut the ball and relay it to the second baseman. Another additional part of this is notice that the pitcher is backing up all throws to the bases. One more time, this time to left center field. The throw comes in, the shortstop cuts it, the throw to the second baseman with the pitcher backing up the play. The same fundamentals apply to the cutoff to third base, but you'll notice how the third baseman directs the shortstop in these examples. The pitcher is still backing up the play.
That's good, Russell, that's good. Cut it and come. Got a plate.
Communication is very important in all cutoff plays. As we come to the throw to the plate, notice that the catcher directs the pitcher whether to cut the ball or let it go on each throw.
Right there. Let it ride.
If the throw's on target, he says let it ride. Now we will cover some of the basic put-outs and double plays. First, if any ground ball is hit to the right side, the pitcher automatically covers first base. Note that he breaks. Even if the first baseman cannot get to the ball, the pitcher is there for the second baseman to throw it to. In the double play situation, the infielders use all the fundamental rules and also try to get rid of the ball real quickly, make snap throws, keeping their hands together. Note the second baseman has both hands together so that he can make the quick throw. The shortstop does the same thing. As the throw comes from second base, he's ready to throw the ball quickly. If the ball's hit close enough to second, you can use the flip from second to short. However, in most cases, it is better to make a firm throw in the regular motion. On a ground ball hit to the first baseman, he will most of the time throw to second, then take the return throw at first. However, if the ball is hit especially close to first base, he can tag the base, then make the throw to the shortstop who will tag the runner out. On ground balls back to the pitcher, if it's a left-handed batter, the shortstop covers. If it's a right-handed batter, the second baseman turns the double play over. In special situations such as the base is loaded, we go home to first to prevent a run from scoring. We can also go home to third. And now Buddy Slater, 3-time world champion, will show you both his pitches and his defensive positioning.
I guess the most important thing in being a pitcher is being able to throw a strike. And a pitcher that can throw a strike when he wants to is got a big advantage because of the less chances of walking a hitter. By walking a hitter is there's no way to get the batter out. So the least amount of walks that you give up, the better chances you are of winning the ball game or keeping base runners off the pad, which base runners score runs. So the most important thing for a pitcher to begin with is to get out and practice and find a pitch that he can throw the best for a strike, and throw that pitch and throw it over and over and practice as much as possible. A lot of teams will get together, and most of all, you want to throw batting practice to all your hitters, because you're trying to let them hit the ball. In return, you're getting your rhythm down of throwing strikes whenever you need to. And there's a lot of situations as you're pitching against hitters to where you may get 3 balls and 1 strike, or 3 and 0 strike, 3 balls and no strikes on a hitter, and you have to come in with a strike to keep from giving the man a free trip to first base. So I think that for me, that back spinner, to where you put your 2 fingers on the seams of the ball to give you the extra spin, is the most accurate pitch for throwing strikes. You want to just throw over and over and over as often as you can, and able to throw that strike when you have to. The spin pitch is the one that I can control the most. It may be different for someone else, so you got to get out there and work and see which is your best pitch to hit. I guess there's very different ways to hold the ball when you're trying to not put any spin on the ball. And the thing about not putting the spin on the ball is the seams. If there's any breeze at all, the ball will actually move 2 or 3 different directions. If it's not spinning, it'll even go left, right, and it may even drop real quick. The ball moves a lot, and there's a lot of ways to hold it. The way I hold it, my hands aren't as big as some people's. The way I'll hold the ball is I'll knuckle my 2 fingers here and hold the ball with my thumb and my 2 out of my index finger and my little finger, and let it go with just like that, with more or less pushing it than spinning it. More or less just a push. Stiff arm push shot, and push it out so you can't get any rotation on the ball. And like I said, the key thing is, even if it does spin a little bit, your pinpoint control and able to throw a strike where you want to throw a strike, whether it be low and outside or up and inside, depending on the hitter that you're facing, because some hitters like them certain spots, and therefore you don't want to give them the pitch they like to hit the best. So the reason for the knuckleball also is just a change from a spinner. You don't never want to more or less do 3 or 4 things in a row, because the hitter will get you in a routine and he'll get his timing down and he'll be set, and that his chances of hitting the ball are a whole lot more better because you've shown a rhythm that you're going to do every time, and he gets his timing down. So a pitcher wants to catch the hitter and throw his timing off any way he can, and the knuckleball is one way to do that, because he doesn't see the same spin or the same arch every time. Normally the knuckleball, when I throw it, it'll be at the minimum amount of arch, to where you keep the ball down on the hitters, especially the bigger hitters, to keep them from, they have to force the ball up to hit it out of the park. The knee-high pitch on the outside corner to a right-handed power hitter is one of the toughest pitches to hit, and that's where that knuckleball can come in, because you can control it a whole lot better. The less amount of arch you have on it, the least amount you can get away with it. You want to never get in the same rhythm with a pitch. You want to change your arches, and change your speeds, and change your spins. Also, a pitcher you don't want to just set your timing down like throw a pitch every 10 seconds. You want to take your time between pitches. You may want to pitch one in 2 seconds. You may want to pitch one in 10 seconds. Anything that you can do to throw a hitter's timing off is important in throwing the batter off. Is when he's ready to hit the ball. If you can stand around a second or two and make him take a practice swing, once he takes that practice swing, you can quick pitch as quick as you can, as long as your foot's on the rubber and it's been there for 2 seconds, you can slip one in on him.
For you more advanced pitchers, after you get down the basics of throwing balls and strikes, you can then begin to start studying hitters a little more. You remember that Buddy told you that the first thing you have to do is throw strikes and be able to throw strikes anytime you want. After you master that, you can go on to start studying hitters, finding out what pitch they hit the worst. If it's the inside pitch, even if it's a good pitch, if they don't hit it as well, that's what you want to throw to them. Okay. Also, you try to get him, as he did there, to get a strike, a quick strike, that first pitch while the batter isn't really set. Get him while he's taking a warm-up swing and throw the pitch. Again, it keeps the batter off stride. You can get ahead in the count. And as Buddy will tell you, anytime you can get ahead of the hitter, you've got a big advantage pitching. Because then you can try to go to more motion, try to make him hit a bad pitch, try to make him hit the pitch that he doesn't want to hit. Again, varying speeds, but always, all of this varying speeds is no good if you can't throw a strike when you have to.
Another real important thing with pitching is not just throwing strikes or pitching to the hitter. Is a pitcher more or less has the ball game in his hand all the time. Say, for instance, you have, under certain situations, you'll want to move your fielders in certain positions because you're going to pitch a hitter inside or outside or something of that aspect, to where if you have 2 strikes on a hitter and you want to pitch him inside, you'll turn to your teammates on the infield and tell them that you're going to throw them inside, have some kind of signal that you'll want to use to let them know how you're going to pitch a certain hitter under a certain situation. So with 2 strikes on a hitter, you just want your fielders to know where you're going to throw the ball so they can be ready, because the chances are that if the ball's hit on the ground, it's going to be hit to the infielders. I'm going to throw a right-handed hitter inside. I'm going to tell my third baseman, my shortstop, and my second baseman to pull over a little bit, because they're going to probably feel the ball. And even your outfielders is the same thing. You may want to move your left fielder over closer to the line if you're going to throw a right-handed hitter in on his fist to where he has to step away. It's really tough for him to hit the ball to the other side. So that's a big advantage as far as a pitcher is concerned, because his defense is going to be more ready because they know just about where that hitter's going to hit the ball. And by being able to throw that strike whenever you want to, you get your control down to where you'll be able to throw the ball on the inside when you want to and on the outside when you want to. So you need to be sure that you're talking to all your defensive players on how you're going to pitch certain hitters, so they'll be ready and more apt to make the defensive play as the occasion arises.
In conclusion, we feel that we have covered the essentials of the game of slow pitch softball. These tips are useless, however, unless you are willing to get out there on the practice field and spend time developing all the skills necessary in becoming a better softball player. And whether you're playing for a church or a school or any team sponsor, you always want to do the best you possibly can, because you're representing them and yourself every time you go out on the field. You want to be on your best behavior, you want to do the best you can, and you do want to play with an air of sportsmanship while you're playing. So we hope that these skills that we have talked about and the different areas that we have stressed will somehow make you a better softball player as you continue to compete in the world of slow pitch softball.
This tape was brought to you by Dudley Sports Company, manufacturers of the finest softball equipment in America. You can pick up one of Dudley's fine products at your nearest sporting goods dealer. We hope you've enjoyed this tape, and we hope that you've learned new ways to improve your slow pitch game.
Thanks for being with us, and we hope that you can play the game of softball as well as the boys that have showed it to you.